Well, I asked, where's the beef? Let's call this for what this is. Oh my God! They are so hopelessly woke. How dare you? That is the intellectual capital of the left today. Give me a break. You are now watching the Daily Roundup.
Oh, good morning, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Rebel News Daily Roundup. It's still the morning where myself and my co-host, Drea Humphrey, are. This is the show where it's normally hosted by David Menzies, wherein we talk about the news of the day completely unscripted, kind of casually, as it happens. David normally has a co-host from another part of the country, but since the studio in Toronto is under construction, a few of us are filling in, and David gets to go be the free bird that he wants to be, doing stories on the streets of Toronto. Joining me is my co-host, Drea Humphrey from BC. Drea, how's it going?
Hey, Sheila. It's been a long time, I feel like, since you and I were together on the live stream, but it's going very good. There may or may not be a mouse that's been in my house for 3 days. It was spotted 3 days ago, and we have not found it or poop. So that's terrifying. But aside from that, everything's good.
That's horrific. My cat brings in squirrels like that are alive and birds that are like flapping on the floor because she can sort of squish in through the screen door. It's horrific. Finding corpses of woodland creatures all over my house.
Well, at least your cat's at least your cat's finding it. I have a dog who's supposed to be a rodent hunter, a dachshund, and he's just chilling on the couch like nothing's going on, you know? What good are you? You don't pay rent, nothing.
Yeah, my cat's at least doing her job. I'm a little insulted, though, that she thinks I can't feed myself, that she has to like go and hunt things and bring them to me. Look, cat, I got it. Excuse me, pardon me. Let me put down my jar of pickles before I knock it over. As I was alluding, this is a show that's unscripted. We talk about the news of the day. And not only do we talk about it with each other, but we also talk about it with you. So if you're watching us on the censorship platform of YouTube, might I suggest you migrate over to a platform that cares a little less about your politics, like, for example, Rumble or Odyssey, or even on locals.com. On those platforms, you are able to support the work that we do completely willingly, and it gives you a chance to democratize the show through something called a Rumble rant or an Odyssey hyper chat, or by joining our locals.com community. The Rumble rant is a paid chat, and we will read it towards the end of the show. Odyssey, their hyper chat, is also a paid chat, and we'll read it towards the end of the show, and it gives you a chance to have your say. If there's a question, comment, story idea that you want to pass along to us, now's your chance. And it allows you to support the work that we do here completely willingly, unlike what Justin Trudeau makes you do with the mainstream media, you know, that unwatchable stuff that you don't like, don't consume, and it that, you know, generally gets everything wrong, or at least slanted towards the Liberals. If you're already forced to support them, why don't you maybe throw a few bucks at the little company that supports the normals of the world? I think that's everything. I know there are a couple things we want to get out of the way before we move on. Drea, I'm very excited to go to Israel with you in September.
I am so excited.
That was really, on one of those trips, it's when David and I really got close. we really learned a lot about each other, because you're sort of together for 10 days and you're together with, our Rebel supporters. We invite them to come on the trip with us. And not only do you get to be part of the living history, which is the Gospels, but you also learn about it with each other, and you learn about a lot of my flaws and fears, like how I'm both claustrophobic and car sick, but I do my best to power through. We are inviting our friends and supporters to come along with us on a fact-finding trip to Israel and Dubai in September. We're spending 7 days in Israel and 3 days in the United Arab Emirates. Now, this will be my third trip to Israel, and I still feel like I'm not going to see and do all the things I want to do. It's a packed trip, but it's wild to be in a place where people are just living and going about their business while existing within the places and scenes of the scriptures. It still boggles my mind. I'll tell you a quick story. We're driving down the highway in the tour bus, and the tour guide says to me, you know, the story of, you know, Jesus, he goes to the wilderness and he wrestles with the devil, you know, the devil tries to tempt him. I'm like, yeah, of course I do know that story. He's like, it's right there. And I'm like, look out the window. I'm like, there are people riding dirt bikes there. because you forget, like, it's a real place that still exists today, and you can see it, you can walk in those footsteps, but people are still living there. And I was like, they're riding dirt bikes there. And then I was like, I would definitely ride a dirt bike there, but I would be like, me,
I would
take
crash
that devil. Take that devil. But yeah, we invite people to come along with us. There are just 2 spots left on this incredible trip. It's me, Drea, of course, David, the boss, Avi Yamini's coming, Kian Simone is coming, our chief documentary filmmaker. So we're going to have beautiful images from the trip captured along the way. It's rebelvacations.com. We just have 2 seats left on that trip, and it is gonna I'm so looking forward to it. Drea, it's gonna blow your mind. I'm going to take a lot of joy in seeing you take a lot of joy in your first trip to Israel.
Yeah, it was through my eyes. I just want to say one quick thing about it. I told my son that I was going. He's 6 years old, and he said, can I go? And I go, not on this trip, buddy. And he starts crying, and he goes, but that's where Jesus walked. And I thought, you know, out of the mouths of babes, even he understands, like, just how, you know, important that area is. And also with all of the recent events that's going on, to see what it's like now. So very excited to go and meet some of our supporters along the way. So grab those 2 seats and let's do this. Yeah,
I've forged some real friendships with those people along the way.
Of course,
yeah, like it's so great. And I just can't wait to go back, and I can't wait to see people experience the Holy Land for the first time. It's going to be fantastic. Was there something else that we needed to do as far as housekeeping go? I forget. A couple of sales in the store, I think it is.
Well, we always have that, for sure. It was something else, but oh my gosh, I think it will come to me.
Olivia will whisper it in our ears. There's a reason we have meetings before we do this show. But obviously I was not paying attention. We should, I know what it is. I know what it is.
Okay, you go. It is, and I should know this since I'm the BC correspondent, but we have something really exciting going down. It's you guys probably heard about the tour that Sheila and Kian did about the great documentary, which is Church Under Fire. Am I getting? Yeah, right there. Yes. You could probably say it better than me, but it's coming to BC. So if you're in BC, you need to check it out. Make sure to see which locations are in your area that you can sign up. I know we have one, which is a sealed deal. And then we're working on more. So the URL for the site, Sheila, you can take over at any time.
SaveTheChristians.com and ChurchUnderFireMovie.com.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you will see any upcoming tour dates, because we are still booking them. Also on that same website, if you are a church or a venue that wants to host a screening, let us know. You can make contact with us there, because it's important for us to try to get this movie in front of as many eyeballs as possible.
Yeah, and you had sold out shows everywhere else, so I'm thinking the same thing's going to happen. So snatch your ticket fast.
Yeah, that's the thing. As they say, don't sleep on this. I think the kids say that. And don't, because the day of or 3 days before, I get emails from desperate people saying, Sheila, you got to get us a ticket. And I would love to, but I cannot change the fire code. And so we get as many people in as possible until such time as it becomes actually unsafe. Not like COVID unsafe, but like real unsafe. So it's SaveTheChristians.com or ChurchUnderFireMovie.com. All right. And I think that Whistler screening that we have is also a co-event with our friend Tamara Leach, who is signing her new book, Hold the Line, My Story from the Heart of the Freedom Convoy. I read the book. I've got nothing but great things to say about it. Much of the story I did know, and a lot of it I didn't. And it's just, and she's just so lovely. You'll meet her in person, and you're going to be like, this was public enemy number one. This woman.
Yeah.
So, you'll get a real grasp on just how fragile Justin Trudeau's ego is once you see this little tiny woman who is public enemy number one. She barely, if she comes up to my shoulders, she's wearing heels. Like, she's just so small. But she's so great. I just love her to death.
So powerful, though. I'm excited to meet her for the first time. So, yeah.
Oh, you've never met her before?
No, I have never met Tamara Leach. So that would be my first time. So join me in that as well. And now I was going to say we have the most important news in politics.
I was just going to say before we move on, Convoy book, theconvoybook.com is how you get Tamara's book and information on tour dates, because she's touring the country with her book at book signing. So hold the line, My Story from the Heart of the Freedom Convoy, theconvoybook.com. All right. Most important story of the day. Drea, take it away.
Pierre Poilievre's new look. Now, I'm sure we've probably touched on this before, but you can't help but notice a lot of people are talking about it, a lot of rumors swirling. He's got no glasses. He always had glasses before, so he drops the glasses as part of a image revamp. Let us know in the comments right now what you think about that. I kind of like team glasses, I must say. He's so smart, the way that he speaks, everything that he says. So I feel like the glasses aligned with that. What do you think, Sheila?
Yeah, I like the glasses, and I'm a glasses wearer, but sometimes my glasses are like, people, if I'm doing a video that I've written a script for, I have to wear my glasses because I can't read the monitor over there. But like on the live stream, I don't wear my glasses because I have things sitting up close to me on my desk, and I don't really have to read anything off the monitor. But you will see me struggle. Like, I'll get down and like start to look. But he looks like on The Simpsons when Milhouse loses his glasses and he has like these little beady eyes and he looks weird. He looks like Milhouse without glasses. Please go back to the glasses. When he puts his glasses on, he looks like 15 years younger. Put your glasses on, buddy.
I agree. Put him on. And I do like what he said here, though. He says, whether or not I wear glasses, I have the best vision for the country. Ooh, that's such a good one liner. But yeah, I think it's interesting that it does seem so obvious. At least there's some owning up to it. It's a drastic change. He's been in politics for so many years. I want to say close to 20 years. I could be wrong. And just all of a sudden you're changing your look.
I don't know. I like the glasses. They make him seem like a thoughtful, snarky dork, which I think he is anyway. He doesn't need a costume for that, but he's the perfect foil for Justin Trudeau, who is a vain, shallow, fashion-absorbed idiot. And so I like the fact that he was like the complete and total flip side, bizarro opposite of him. And I wish he would go back, because it is unsettling to see him without glasses. I don't like it at all.
I'm interested to see what viewers say. Again, you can live chat at Rumble or Odyssey. Donation of $5 US, I believe it is, or more. And we do our best to read those. And it goes to supporting our channel and our coverage.
Yeah. And yesterday, quite frankly, it actually kept the lights on. Like we had a power outage, and we always say like throw a little money our way to keep the lights on, and then the lights went off. So then people were just like giving a bunch of money towards the end of the show. This is to keep the lights on. I'm like, on the nose, we did it. We should move on to this next video because it is about Pierre Poilievre. Oh, okay, it's bad quality. Olivia whispers in my ear, it's bad quality, so we're not going to play it. It's just, I'll describe it. You can take my word for it. You can find it on Twitter if you want to suffer through the video quality. But Rob Primo, who is a right-wing activist, I wouldn't call him, I don't know if I call him conservative, libertarian. I don't know if he's in the PPC camp or whatever. I don't think it matters. But Rob Primo confronts Poilievre with several questions. You can hear every other word Poilievre says, but it's more than enough. He calls out Bernier at the end of this video. And I don't think this is the first time Primo has doorstepped Poilievre, who really should have his glasses on because then he would have seen Rob Primo coming. But we talked about this yesterday on the show. I think there's a lot of room for PPCers to go back into the Conservative fold. I don't think there's enough reaching out across the table towards them because they were very committed Conservative Party of Canada members not all that long ago. And they have shared goals of smaller government, fiscal accountability, freedom, and getting rid of Trudeau. But they also feel disaffected, betrayed, and maligned by the Conservative Party leadership under Erin O'Toole and Andrew Scheer. And I think it would go a long way to getting those people back into the party if someone just said, you know, we did as a party do horrible things to you, but this is not that party anymore. We'd like you to come back. That's never been said. And I don't know. I think it would be the decent thing to do.
I totally agree. It reminds me of the whole trucker convoy in a way that, you know, the Conservatives were silent for, in my opinion, far too long before coming out and saying, no, these are peaceful protests. And, you know, it reminds me of that because the PPC has also been labeled far-right extremists and all of those names that most Conservatives these days are, but, you know, they use them sort of as the poster face. So I feel like, you know, something like that where you give out an olive branch would go a long way.
Yeah. And I think Erin O'Toole never got the criticism and the reckoning he so rightly deserves, although he's leaving politics, hopefully forever, obscurity. But for working with liberal activists like Warren Kinsella to malign and paint the PPCers as far-right radicals. They're idealists. Some of them can be prickly. I understand why they're prickly. But Erin O'Toole is no longer around. And I think the Conservative movement as a whole would benefit from a healing. And a true leader would try to do something like that. At least extend the olive branch. The PPCers don't have to accept it. I've got no skin in the game here, obviously. But it would still be the right thing to do to admit that the party did wrong by them. I know that sort of thing went a long way for people who were discriminated against by vaccine mandates here in Alberta when the Premier, Danielle Smith, who is not responsible for any of it, apologized to those people and said, you were treated unfairly.
Yeah.
Just an acknowledgement of the harm done, I think, is an important thing.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. And we saw their votes go up significantly for that party during the time that the Conservative wouldn't speak out about, the coercion happening with vaccine mandates and stuff. It will be interesting to see what happens in the next election. But I totally agree.
Now, speaking of people either being kicked out or leaving, we've just seen this video. It's resurfaced. It's a bit of an older video, but it's of Justin Trudeau doing what Justin Trudeau does, and that is throwing out women who disagree with him. And it's from a town hall he hosted a few years ago, and some women were being disagreeable with Justin Trudeau, and so he showed them the door, much the same way he did to Jody Wilson-Raybould and Selena Selena Chavanez. Yeah, Selena Caesar Chavanez. Yes, failed mayoral candidate in Toronto. But this is Justin Trudeau. This is how he reacts to women who don't bend toward his will. Take a look at this.
So if you stop shouting, you could stay. Will you stop shouting, sir? Then you won't be disturbing everyone here. Guess not. Okay. Have a lovely evening, sir. Thank you for coming out in this exercise in democracy. It's not pretty, but it's the best system we have. Democracy's pretty good. Again. I am trying to engage with you. I am trying to speak with you. You don't respect anyone in this room? Then I'm going to have to ask you to leave this room. Usually it's not that easy. Usually it's harder to get them to admit they don't respect anyone in this room. I apologize for that. I apologize for the interaction. We'll have to stretch out the time a little more because I don't want you all to be penalized for that. Part of that, the other part of... Come on. Come on. Really? Really? Oh, no, well, you're still here? Okay, well, then, yes, we're going to ask the police to remove you. Yes, we're asking the police to remove you both. Time to go. Please remove her. Winston Churchill pointed out that democracy is messy. You know what? This is about... Okay, do you have one quick question? What's your one question? I just asked you. Yes, how do I feel about critical discussion? ISIS. Okay. Have a wonderful evening, ma'am, and thank you for your participation in this democratic exercise.
All the people clapping.
One of the responsibilities that comes with free speech means listening to others. Will you please respect the people in this room? No, then please leave. If you're not going to respect the people in this room, you need to leave. That's the rule. Sorry. Yes.
That's crazy. He's acting like a teacher of kindergarten. If you're not going to respect Billy, if you're not going to share your book, you're going to have to leave. I think all of those women that he kicked out were Indigenous and or Indigenous identifying, and that's good enough for the Liberals. But, you know, like, they were thrown out because they didn't respect Justin Trudeau. You think Justin Trudeau gives a damn if those women respect everybody else in the room? I don't think it's a requirement to go to a town hall to have some sort of respect or homage to everybody else in the room. You just have to go there and be willing to engage in the free and liberal exchange of ideas. But it was Justin Trudeau who was not. You know, like he said, thank you for participating in this exercise of democracy. You threw out a woman because she didn't agree with you. That seems entirely undemocratic to me.
Well, and what really stands out to me is what appears to me like narcissistic behavior. He does it with a smile, with a grin, uses words, like, oh, this is democracy, and everybody's clapping along and just falling in line with it. It's just creepy, actually, to watch. And one person after another. But I feel like it points out, because that was a few years ago, I think 3 years ago, it points out how the Liberal Party has changed now. Now it's hard for people to get in to these events.
Right.
They have their handlers on the outside. Of course, we of Rebel News have experienced that many times. You can't even get into these events. They weaponize the police and security against you and say that it's private property. But I've also seen it when people have protest signs and they show up. So not just independent media, but people who have protest signs where it's very obvious that they're there to oppose his visit or they don't agree with him. They don't make it in either. So he's gotten smarter. Now you don't have the videos of him saying this and losing his cool, I might add, at that one part where he's like, are you kidding me? Are you still in there? I mean, it kind of reminds me of that other time where he got frustrated in the House and says he accidentally elbowed that woman when he went to go grab another MP out of the way. If you remember that in the chest, I forget her name, but it reminds me of this short temper that I've seen him have before.
Yeah. And it looks more like a normal person could handle people who are screaming and yelling at them. If you're a politician, you should be able to handle that. But having the police remove these non-violent, however disagreeable women out of the event seems more like a power move. It's an exhibit of Justin Trudeau's power over the peasantry, is what we saw there. And he did it with a smug smile, and he got angry when their removal wasn't happening enough, when they weren't shutting up fast enough for Justin Trudeau. You know what else is also, I think, highly relevant in all of this? This is like a three-ish year old clip. Do you remember the media really covering this at all? Like, we exist in the news business. This is, I feel like if this happened to Pierre Poilievre, there would have been like 24-hour news cycles. And I think obviously this was probably a room full of mainstream media. And they were just like, oh, there were some disruptions, let's move on. Like, I don't think it was adequately covered the way it should have been.
Well, it's the same as when he gets booed at everywhere he goes now, pretty much. They really downplay that. And again, the smug smile he consistently does. It doesn't matter if he walks out of a building where literally everybody is there to boo him. He will still smile and wave because he knows his buddies at State Preferred Media will just mute the audio and just show him coming and leaving the place like a queen.
Yeah. And they'll say like conservative disruptors,
if they do cover it,
attack Justin Trudeau event, and it's like, no, these are concerned Indigenous women, whom Justin Trudeau normally has plenty of time for when they agree with him. We should go to this last video on the topic of federal politics and federal leaders. It is Pierre Poilievre calling out Justin Trudeau's bail reform policies that have led to the tragic death of a Toronto mother of two. Let's show the video, and then I'll tell you how things are much different here in Alberta.
Years of Trudeau, crime is raging in our streets. Tragically, we saw a young mother hit by a stray bullet from the gun of a repeat offender who had violated 16 probation orders. And yet under Trudeau's catch and release system, he was free to go kill another person. We need to end catch and release and bring jail, not bail, for repeat violent offenders.
So Justin Trudeau will give bail to violent criminals, recidivist gang members. He's actually lowered the mandatory, or removed altogether, the mandatory minimum sentences for a whole host of violent, gang-related and gun-related crimes, while cracking down on people like me who haven't done anything wrong with their guns. And he's actually used the excuse that there's systemic racism in the prison system and in the bail system. And that's why these people who are getting out and doing violence in minority communities, they need the benefit of no mandatory minimum sentences so they can go out and attack minority people. That's what he's doing. And in Alberta, because the feds are doing nothing to curb violent crime in this country, they're looking and spending resources on the path of least resistance, the most law-abiding people in the country, gun owners. In Alberta, we've decided that if the feds aren't going to monitor their violent criminals that they're releasing into Alberta communities, we are gonna. So if you are going to be released into an Alberta community and you are a violent criminal and we don't think they're properly monitoring you, we're going to stick an ankle bracelet on you and we're going to figure out where you are. And we're going to do this for real violent criminals and not people like Tamara Leach, who spent nearly 50 days in prison for the crime of saying "hold the line" and honking her horn, while we see what
counseling people to honk their horn.
Yeah, well, counseling to commit mischief is just the crime of telling somebody, "Hey, it'll be cool if you do that annoying thing in public." Those are the real, think about this: Tamara Leach, real criminal, keep her in jail. Pastor Art, real criminal, keep him in jail. Recidivist gangsters in Toronto, gun criminals, are being released so that they can kill people. That is the state of Justin Trudeau's justice system.
It's appalling, and the whole cry racist thing. It's just, it's almost as if they want more crime. I mean, what logic otherwise do you come up with? I'm so happy to hear what Alberta is doing. Another point for Alberta. And I'm stuck here in BC. But you guys are really making some new policies. It's exciting to watch, and hopefully more provinces will, maybe Saskatchewan or something, will get in there.
Yeah, this is Danielle Smith said, if the federal government does not address the issue of catch and release, we know we have to step in. That's why we will be using the ankle bracelets in order to monitor. We will ensure that criminals out on bail when they shouldn't be have more eyes on them. There's no free pass in Alberta. She also promised increased funding for the Alberta Law Enforcement Response Team to target gang violence. We're expanding the Provincial Cybercrime Unit and the Provincial DNA Lab to help crack some cold cases. We are also increasing support for the Internet Child Exploitation Teams.
Nice.
by the tune of $4 million over 4 years. So if the feds aren't going to do it, we'll do it ourselves.
Yeah. I'm jealous.
I know.
That's good.
I know.
Alberta is my birth town, or not
Yeah.
my birth town, my birth province. So,
You know what? We'll take you. We'll take you back.
might have to come back home.
Yeah, if you want a cheaper cost of living and a safer place to live, might I suggest you move to Alberta? Just leave your BC politics behind. And I know you don't have BC politics, but
No.
that's my invite to everybody. Don't BC my Alberta. Just come for the safety. Leave your bad ideas behind. We've got an ad break here, and then we'll talk about Jason Aldean. I like country music, which is why I don't actually like Jason Aldean's music. But that's a personal taste thing. I do enjoy his politics more and more these days. So let's hit an ad break, and then we'll talk about him.
You may have heard us previously refer to the term Orwellian in response to the way that governments around the world have acted throughout the COVID 1984 hysteria. But do you know what these terms really mean? Well, they come from the dystopian writings of author George Orwell, and now you can read one of his most famous works, novel 1984, Better Than Ever Before, to hear the terms that we refer to often, such as the Ministry of Truth, wrongthink, thought police, etc., straight from the horse's mouth. You can find it at buy1984.com, where Rebel News is excited to launch this revamped classic tale. It's not revamped at all in terms of what was actually written. In fact, all of the writings themselves remain entirely unchanged. But we're now bringing you this harrowing, futuristic novel fully illustrated and with a larger, easier to read font size. There is a foreword by Rebel Commander Ezra Levant, and you can order it directly through that website, buy1984.com. The parallels between the depictions of the surveillance state and Orwellian's totalitarian depictions in 1984, contrasted with what we are seeing today in our democracies, should not be ignored. Go to buy1984.com and purchase your book today. And hey, maybe even order a copy or two for a friend. It's the perfect gift that keeps on giving. And you'll never be able to view the doublespeak of certain politicians the same way again. That's buy1984.com.
You know, at one of the Church in the Vine, or it was at Church in the Vine, but it was the Church Under Fire screenings. We had the books there for sale. And someone's like, oh, I was going to pick this up, but I'm living it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we all are. That's a good point.
Exactly.
And they did buy them.
Well, there's that. I've seen those shirts. I don't know if we have one at rebelnewsstore.com maybe, but it says make Orwell fiction again. That's kind of what.
Yeah, and 1984 was not a how-to manual.
Yeah. But it really is. It's really surreal rereading it. So if you don't have that beautiful copy, grab it. And I feel like it's a great one to give teens, which is what I'm doing for my daughter, so that they can be excited while they're reading it too. Yeah, and as Yankee points out, because our social media manager, Yankee, he's a Floridian by way of Montreal. But this book, our version of the book, is not available in the United States. So if you're a Canadian who wants to send a very unique gift to an American friend, this book is not for sale in the United States because the copyright still holds in the United States. So if you want this very unique version with all these new images and a foreword by Ezra Levant, buy it from us and send it to your American friends because they can't get it there. It's really cool. Great idea.
Okay, let's talk about Jason Aldean. Now, I want to preface
some country music going. That's my country accent.
Which is why I don't listen to Jason Aldean. I'm more of a traditionalist. I don't like the snap track country. You know what I mean, Florida Georgia line friends. But Jason Aldean, to his credit, he and Morgan Wallen also don't care much for his music, but his politics and his stance against cancel culture, excellent. So Jason Aldean's got a new single out. It's called Try That in a Small Town. And the song is about mob violence and why it doesn't happen in small towns, because small town people might put a bullet in you, but they don't have a lot of toleration for it. It's anti-riot lyrics. It slams leftist policies that have caused big towns to fall into decay and mania. And the Hollywood left, of whom, I guess that stuff is starting to infect country music, but so far it seems to have buttressed itself up against cancel culture. But the song hit airwaves in May. It wasn't released for video until July 14th. And people started claiming it was racist, pro-lynching, as though people are pro-lynching. CMT, so Country Music Television, that's where you would see this video, has pulled the singer's music video, yet it hasn't said why. This song, in response now, has ended up at number 1. And the video is at number 1. And it's been out since May. So country music consumers were not worried about this song whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly.
The people who sing along with it were not worried about this song. Finally, some leftists noticed, because it probably ended up in their YouTube algorithm because it was highly popular. And all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, this is pro-lynching. Now, one thing Aldean points out is many of the images used in the video are actual news footage. It's not recreations. It's mob violence that actually happened in big cities. And he's refusing to back down, which I enjoy. And this is not the first time the Aldeans have refused to back down, because Jason Aldean's wife has a children's wear line, like a clothing line. And she was accused of being anti-trans because she said something like, I'm so glad that my parents didn't transition me when I was going through.
That quote real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
She said, I'd really like to thank my parents for not changing my gender when I went through my tomboy phase. I love this girly life.
Yeah. And then so Jason Aldean's PR firm, which has dealt with him for 17 years through the height of his popularity, turfed him. He's standing by his wife. Couple of woke country music stars who can't read the room, but there's always Dixie Chicks around, if you know what I mean. They were like the woke ones during the George Bush era. They said, they called her Insurrection Barbie, whatever. But country music fans don't actually, like legitimate country music fans and consumers of Jason Aldean's music, they don't actually seem to care. Sell your clip-ins and zip it, Insurrection Barbie. That's Maren Morris.
I'm not a country music fan, didn't know who Jason Aldean was until this, but have purchased the song. It's now
Did you? Good.
I did. Of course I did. And it is a little bit more poppy, so I know that's what turns you away, but it actually sounds a little bit better to me. But I want to go back to the pro-lynching accusation they're coming at here. This article here that we have for you, it says the video for the song includes clips of protesters confronting police and scenes of the U.S. flag being burned. And here it is. It also includes scenes shot in front of a courthouse in Columbia, Tennessee, that was the site of a lynching of a Black man in the 1920s, according to a report by Verity.
100 years ago?
Are you kidding me? This is like grasping so much. I can't believe the journalism there. Like it's a report by Verity, and then you're actually covering that totally useless tip that has absolutely nothing to do with anything. It's such a reach. And of course he has responded to that, Jason. But it's just so shameful what they're doing. He says, I've been accused of releasing a pro-lynching song. It's an anti-crime song. That's what it is. And was subject to the comparison that I was not too pleased with the nationwide BLM protests. These references are not only meritless, but dangerous. And he says there is not a single lyric in the song that references race. And like you said, he points out that he just uses actual footage where it's not blurring that, some of the criminals are Black. And it reminded me of the BLM protests. If you remember that small town I forget where they were. It was a small area, and the neighbors got out with their guns and just stood there peacefully.
Yeah.
I think I shared a link if we just want to show it on the screen, the video, if you have it handy. But they just, they had their right to bear arms, and they stood out there. They looked like they were having some drinks and talking. The BLM protesters are like, there you go. It's like, they're just holding it. They're like chilling. The guns are pointed down. And I think that's kind of what the song is saying. Those Black Lives Matter protests destroyed Black-owned businesses, Black-owned homes, Black communities, and it wasn't going to fly here.
Well, that's the point. Like, large cities fall into social decay because of Democrat and progressive policies, and they have all the rioting and mayhem. And you go to a small town and you don't have any of that. In fact, if you do have any sort of violence, the neighbors will take care of it before the cops ever get there. That's the point of the whole video, which is missed on people who didn't listen to the song when it came out 2 months ago, losers. Now, one of my favorite governors, Kristi Noem, weighed in. Her entire state is a small town. She's the governor of South Dakota. She likes to hunt predators and wear fur, and she's a rancher, and she also likes to lift at the gym. I know so much about her. I just do. I think she's lovely. I think she's lovely. Some very beautiful photographs of her on cattle drives on her Facebook, in case you're interested. But anyways, she thought that she would weigh in because her entire state is just one small town. So let's roll some of her footage. Look at her. Look at her. Anyway, I'll just be quiet. She is. Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. I was just getting in the car to head to a meeting, and I was thinking about something I posted on my social media on May 24th. It was about a new song that had just been released that my friend Neil Thrasher helped write, and Kalo as well, both dear friends of mine. But it was by Jason Aldean, and I was so impressed with the song because it talked about the value of small towns and how we have our priorities right. And when I posted on my social media, I talked about that I hoped the video would be shot in South Dakota because that is our way of life here. I am shocked by what I'm seeing in this country with people attempting to cancel this song and cancel Jason and his beliefs, and him and Brittany are outspoken about their love for law and order and for their love of this country. And I'm just grateful for them. I think a lot of times people that go out and fight every day on these important issues and have an opinion and remember the freedom and liberty that this country was founded on get persecuted from it. And we're seeing that with the Aldeans right now and the songwriters that work so hard on this. And I just want them to know that we support them. We love them. Thank you for writing a song that America can get behind. And boy, keep singing, keep playing. And if you want to come to South Dakota, I'll let you play anywhere. We'll facilitate it. I know you're coming in August, but if you want to come sing it on the governor's residence front lawn, we'll do it proudly. So thank you for being patriots. God bless you.
I hope she's somebody's VP pick this year.
Yeah.
She's great. But she is right. Like, and it's nice to see a government official, Canadian politicians, who's standing against cancel culture and for free speech and just for common sense. We don't see a lot of that in Canada.
And we should remind people, especially if they don't follow. I guess I had heard of Jason Aldean, but in a different context. So in case they don't follow country music, he is the same country star who was performing on stage during the mass shooting in Las Vegas, which is obviously not a small town. So it's just kind of a piece that's there, because who was it that came out and said, you should know better since you were there? It was another country star. You'd know the name.
Yeah, I forget. I forget. Oh, yeah. I try not to pay attention to the woke youngsters of country music. I'm more in like the...
No, she was old school. The one who came out to basically condemn his song.
Was it Sheryl Crow?
Yeah, Sheryl Crow. She came out and she said something along the lines of, you're promoting violence in the song, is what she wrote. And she said that he should know better since he was there at the Las Vegas shooting.
Yeah, we wouldn't want the Democrats exposed for the violence they promote. Somehow we're attributing the violence done by Democrats to the Republican singer who is singing a song against the violence.
Yeah, this is
Good
literally anti-violence, like, and anti-crime. Like I said, it's saying don't mess around, don't break the law. We'll
don't break
defend
the law.
ourselves.
Yeah, I that's the thing. See, this is why I'm like, no, this is why I like country music from the early 80s, 1970s, and like the newer stuff from like the more trad country guys, like Brad Wall's son, Coulter Wall, who's my favorite.
And when's the last time the left has come after a rapper for literally promoting like gang violence? It doesn't happen.
Rape, drugs, gang violence, all those lyrics, all those videos are perfectly fine. But some, like a Republican saying, don't try to hurt me or I will hurt you. That seems to be the objectionable thing for these people. Have you listened to hip hop lately? Anything that Cardi B sings, like I have actually had a dry heave, and I'm not exaggerating, over a Cardi B song. I dry heaved.
You listened to one?
I had to talk about it on air, so I did what you did, and I bought the song, and I was like, I'm gonna listen to it. I'm gonna stomach this, and it was touch and go. I don't know what's going on there, but I did not enjoy it, but that is fine. For the left, and this is, look at this. Yeah, somebody compared them.
Wow. Okay, yeah, I did look at the lyrics of this one. Yeah. Horrible.
Oh God,
horrible.
It's gross. Yuck, gross.
Anyways, just for the record, I would not agree to a Cardi B story time in a library either.
No,
it's not just drag queen story times I'm against.
It's Cardi B, like in general. I wouldn't let her sit on my couch for 100 different reasons, but I would throw the couch out after. Anyways, let's hit an ad break, and then we will talk about this really interesting and, quite frankly, lovely story coming out of Nanaimo. But let's do the ad break first.
Everyone, how's it going? Just want to talk to you for just a moment. Here at Rebel News, we understand what it's like to be independent, to try and get by without big handouts from the government. Small business owners alike out there understand that like nobody else. That's why we might be able to partner up and do something incredible, bring a captive audience and new eyes to your business or your product. If you think we might be able to partner up, and if you want to support independent journalism while growing your brand to a captive audience, well, reach out to us. You can do so by going to rebelnews.com/advertise.
No matter what, God will bring us through, and I said, we will not bow down to your gods.
For tickets, showtime details, and to see the trailer, please go to savethechristians.com. Okie doke. Let's talk about this thing out of Nanaimo, because if you are somebody who cares about the right to defend yourself, much like I do, because I live a half an hour from a police station, and that is if the police are driving fast and on their way, this is a good story for those of us who feel that way. So charges dropped for a man who allegedly shot Nanaimo business owner at homeless camp. The BC Prosecution Services says a Nanaimo man of no fixed address who was accused of shooting another man who was looking for items that were allegedly stolen from his shop in March will not be facing charges. The Prosecution Service announced a stay of proceedings on Wednesday, saying that the Crown does not have enough evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the man committed an offense. The shooting occurred March 12th when Nanaimo business owner Clint Smith was shot in the stomach after he and a group of 6 other men went to the homeless encampment along Terminal Avenue to retrieve items that were allegedly stolen. The prosecution service says Smith initially told police he was not armed, but further investigation determined he was carrying a collapsible baton and wearing a slash-proof vest, and that at least one other man who was with him wielding a baseball bat had a large piece of wood. After spotting an item on the road that the group believed was stolen from Smith's shop, the group descended on the camp in search of other property. A violent confrontation occurred, and Smith was shot in the stomach, which required serious medical treatment, including surgeries. 2 weeks later, Craig Truckle was arrested for pointing a firearm. Here's the best part. The BC Prosecution Service says Truckle and another camper were legally entitled to defend themselves in the encounter, adding that witnesses saw a camper being hit over the head with a baton. The only question is whether the force used by the accused was objectively proportionate in the circumstances. And I think it was, because if you have done nothing wrong, and regardless of your housing situation,
Right.
if you are being attacked by a mob of 6 men with slash-proof vests, and you are not involved in whatever they say that they think you've done, and they are coming to club you like a baby seal to death, you shouldn't have to attack them with other sticks. You should be able to defend your life with whatever force is necessary. And that sounds like it's what happened here. The prosecution service notes that when it approves criminal charges, it must assess each case, whether or not there is a substantial likelihood of conviction, and if so, whether or not there is public interest that it requires prosecution. Given all available evidence and applying the general legal elements of self-defense to that evidence, the Crown was unable to disprove self-defense or defense of others beyond a reasonable doubt. Great. So I don't have to wait for an armed guy to come. I don't have to wait for an armed man to barge in my house and point a gun at me if he's barging into my house. I think the assumption here is that they're coming to do you harm, and you should be able to defend yourself. So I'm just happy to see this ruling.
Yeah, I'm a little confused though, because he was arrested for pointing the gun, but not found guilty for shooting it because of self-defense. I don't know why I'm having troubles with this. Like, I agree we should be able to defend ourselves, but the gun is probably there illegally, right?
Oh, we don't know that. He wasn't charged with illegal possession of a firearm.
It's yeah, I'd like to know more, because usually you have to, say where your gun is being housed. And if it's just outside in a homeless encampment. So I don't know. I feel like I need to know more about this situation. But yeah, I hear you. If you're being attacked, we should be able to defend ourselves. And this can be used for other cases that will pop up where people are. So that will be good as well. But I wonder if sometimes I've heard, I should probably read up on it more, that the laws, like when you are actually inside of your own house, can almost work against you when you're defending yourself more than it would on the street if you're being attacked. So do you know anything about that?
Well, this is quite interesting because, like, going back to your question about the firearm. So if this were a handgun, it couldn't be at this homeless encampment, right? Because you can only take it directly to a government approved range and take it back to wherever you're storing it. And you need to call in advance for permission. Okay. And so it sounds like since he wasn't charged with illegal possession, that he was a licensed firearms owner. I see. That it was a long gun. Because there would be different charges related to this offense if it were a handgun. And he wasn't charged with illegal possession. So that's kind of interesting. And we also don't know, maybe he did, was it stored separately from the ammunition? Well, could be the case. He might have not even been a resident at the camp. He just could have been stopping through on his way to Canadian Tire. Yes. Or whatever. It's not illegal to have your long gun in the trunk of your car. It's not. If you have a reason to have that in the trunk of your car, okay. That's not a crime in this country. So it sounds like, they tried to charge him. They couldn't. And it sounds like the liars here were the shop owners, and I completely sympathize with shop owners who are robbed, which sounds like what has happened here. They think they saw some of his property somewhere along the way, but it doesn't mean that everybody who lives in a homeless encampment is guilty of this, or even is visiting the homeless encampment, or is adjacent to the homeless encampment. We don't even know what happened here. Like, was the guy who did the shooting, did he just see like this mob going to beat up some homeless people and stepped in and ended up in the middle of it? We don't really know what happened here, but the mob that came, they lied about whether or not they were armed. whether or
Right.
not they had splash-proof vests. They weren't telling the whole story in the very beginning. So,
And
anyway,
they came for action, clearly. I mean, you can just call the cops if you see your stuff in a homeless encampment. So,
yeah, and this has been going on since March. Sounds like there's a new video, Efron and Olivia. Do you see that link? It links to a video. It's in the news article there from Czech News. A new video sheds more light on a shooting in Nanaimo that sent one man to hospital with serious injuries. Smith? No, that's a different one. I'm sorry. There's a lot of shootings. No, maybe this is the same one.
unfortunately. Well, in the meantime,
No,
while
it's
you're
the
figuring
same
that,
one.
oh, is
No,
it?
it's the
Okay.
same. Yeah.
Is it
It's
going to
the
show somebody
same
get
one.
shot in the stomach, Sheila? Or
Pointing a gun.
oh, okay.
And yeah, let's not. Well, maybe let's not
Oh.
show this because
Too late. Too late. Oh,
I just don't
Sorry.
want it. Sorry, friends at home. I'm learning things on the fly here. We're all in this together, as the politicians say. I just don't want to get us canceled from YouTube for showing the brandishing of a firearm on a video, because that's a big.
this is unscripted. We're on the
Yes.
fly, so we got to make a
Yes.
safe call quick. I'll just interrupt for a live chat. If those of you watching don't know what that means, it means if you have anything to say about what we've talked about, you can actually donate $5 US or more at Rumble, and we'll try to read it out and you become part of this show. Cranky Blue Noser, love the name, donates $20. Thank you very much. Says the Tories were mostly silent when our rights were being trampled and 7 provincial Tory government enforced the stupid mandates. APPC supporter. Okay, so this was when we were talking about the PPC's PPC party earlier on. So yeah, you got some points there. Yeah,
I completely agree. That's why we have Danielle Smith as our premier here in Alberta, someone who is an outspoken opponent of Jason Kenney's lockdowns. She took the party from him and is our premier now, in, I think, one of the most incredible stories of redemption in modern Canadian history. But, Blaine Higgs in New Brunswick, ultimately the man responsible at the end of the day, because the buck stops at the top, for the arrest and incarceration of Pastor Phil Hutchins for 7 days in solitary confinement. Another conservative Premier Doug Ford bragged about having the worst lockdowns in North America. Bragged about it.
Kids wanting to kill themselves at a higher rate.
Yeah.
Something to brag about.
Yeah, and Manitoba, their allegedly conservative government there, they were the ones, putting check stops on the highway to prevent people from going to church, arresting Tobias Tisson in front of his kids, and his pregnant wife and his mother, who is leaving for Europe, moving to Europe the next day. High profile takedown of Pastor Tobias Tisson, who is like a dove. Like, he is so gentle and so soft spoken that when we were doing the documentary, we were like, do we have to boost the audio with him, because he's so soft spoken?
Their whole church is like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just conservative politicians really failed. It's also why there's no more Aaron O'Toole. So the moral of the story is that the people can make change. We made it here in Alberta. We as Albertans, not me. I've tried to stay disconnected from party politics as much as I possibly.
No, you should run.
No, don't.
Comment
don't
if you think Sheila should run next time.
Don't. It's like Ezra's fantasy football thing. But you can't make change. You can rise up and replace the bad guy with at least somebody who's not terrible, which is what we did here in Alberta, and it happened at the federal level too. So, anyways, that's a life lesson, I think, for the people in Ontario, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Do we have any more chats, or is that it? Are we wrapping up at like exactly noon today?
How is that a thing? How is that possible? Yeah, I don't see any other chats. That would be
That's
a first.
Yeah, that's great. I should before we go tell everybody that we have some incredible new Church Under Fire documentary merchandise in rebelnewsstore.com. Olivia, might you whisper in my ear that we have some Rebel News Store promotions also? Summer sales? Is that true?
You can always use our code. If not, Drea 10, and I'm assuming Sheila 10.
Oh, it's the 10%.
You like
okay.
her better than me.
No, yeah, you can use Sheila 10 for Church Under Fire merch. This one here, we've got the one that I'm wearing. We have one with a really excellent Galatians 5:13 quote. We've got John 8:32. That's the one that I'm wearing. And what I really love, the Church Under Fire cup I got too. The Galatians has like a cross on the back also.
Nice.
The hoodies for the John 8:32 come in a bunch of different colors now. I got a burgundy one, which is my favorite color. And they have the quote numbers on the sleeve and like a Sacred Heart of Jesus on the chest. I was like, yes, it's amazing. I love it. And it comes in a bunch of different colors. I was so impressed with it. It's beautiful. That's the one I have. I have the burgundy one.
Nice.
But
cool. I'm excited.
Yeah.
You sold me. I might even use your coupon.
I think you should. But the store's looking great. There's new stuff being added every day, but I'm so proud of the Church Under Fire merchandise. It would be something that I would buy just to have if I didn't already work for Rebel News and it wasn't my documentary. I would still buy it. I can't encourage people to put it on enough. And it looks amazing. And that's it. So that's at rebelnewsstore.com, Sheila 10 or Drea 10 for your 10% off. And it's free global shipping. So you don't have to worry about any of that. I think that's it. Drea, is that it? Probably.
That's it. That's all she wrote.
Okay, perfect. This was great. We went through the show today without any technical difficulties, which is kind of new. But we are working on finalizing the finishing touches on the new studio in Toronto, raising the roof, as they say. And I'm not just saying that. We're literally raising the roof in the studio so that the lighting doesn't look so glaring and oppressive. So, Drea, thank you so much for co-hosting with me today and being a good sport as I talk way too much. I know I do. I get the emails. It's fine. And thank you, Olivia.
I get the don't talk with your hand email.
Oh, I do that one too. I'm always talking with my hands. Yeah. Yeah, or get your stupid hair out of your face and hide your tattoos, Sheila. I
know people are so bossy. We're always hiring at Rebel News, Rebel Careers, if you think you can do our jobs better.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll take submissions on my appearance only with a full body shot from the submitter. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thanks to Efron and Olivia behind the scenes for running the show today, and everybody who works behind the scenes in the Toronto office, but across the country, to make sure the show is there for you to click on it wherever you may feel like watching it. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. Thanks to anybody who pitches in to send a little money our way. Support of independent journalism. We appreciate every little bit. We don't have a sugar daddy named Justin Trudeau giving us other people's money to produce content that the victims of the cash grab would never watch in the first place. So we appreciate you choosing us. And with all that being said, as David Menzies always says, stay sane.
Well, we know that people are feeling this across the country, and people are feeling this here in Windsor. I've spoken to people. They're saying, what do we do? The mortgage rates or the interest rates have gone up so quickly and so rapidly in such a short period of time. We are struggling right now. And I gave that example. If you were a family in the past couple of years that has a 25-year variable mortgage, you're looking at your mortgage payments and seeing an increase of over $1,700. How is a family supposed to come up with an additional $1,700 when grocery prices are up, when gas prices are up, when everything is more expensive? What are families to do? And the relief offered by the Liberals is just not good enough. And it's not surprisingly because they're not in connect. They're out of touch with what people are really going through. And the Conservatives are not proposing any solutions immediately right now to give people relief. They don't care. They're not actually talking about that. We're talking about what we can do right now to give people relief. There's a lot of countries that are looking at real solutions to give people a bit of break who are struggling with the cost of their mortgage. We want to see those aggressive steps being taken here in Canada, steps like Spain has taken to force banks to give lower interest rates to families that are struggling, like Portugal has put in a subsidy for people that can't pay their mortgage right now. We need to see some aggressive measures put in place to give people some relief, to give people a break so they don't lose their homes.
How in the world could such a small group of people with limited resources change world history? But in fact, that's happening, and it's the power of the truth. The truth is like kryptonite.
Healthcare isn't in some sense working very well. Foster Colson is thinking about this. He's got a new company, an online healthcare platform called the Wellness Company.
Telehealth company called the Wellness Company.
The Wellness Company.
The most popular product is the detoxification supplement that features nattokinase. Nattokinase is the only enzyme that we're aware of right now that dissolves the spike protein. Spike protein is loaded in the body with the COVID-19 infection and definitely with the vaccines. We've been completely accurate on the spread of the virus.